Boom. All right, what's going on, you guys? It's Royce Jacob. Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to Sunday Stock Watch, series I post on Sundays where I let you guys know what stocks I'm personally keeping an eye on going into the trading week. You guys, I knew exactly where this video was going the moment Bitcoin crossed $60,000 yesterday, set a new all-time high, and I'm sure you guys will all agree with this. I could not be more bullish on the cryptocurrency sector going into the week. It might sound a little crazy to say, but I do think that the price action we could see in some of these names over the course of the coming weeks will be unlike anything we've seen in the crypto sector so far, which is crazy to say again, just because plays like RIOT have 50x since we started following them, over 50x at that. But it's important to remember, guys, that although we were early, there's still a lot of investors that need to learn about the space, especially the stocks involved with cryptocurrencies, and there's still a lot of capital, both retail and institutional capital, that has yet to flow into these sectors that I think will cause, once again, for some very exciting price action. So, of course, very exciting, very potentially, hopefully lucrative week for the Waves family, and I'm just so pumped to take a look at some of these stocks with you guys today. Okay, so let's get into it. As always, we'll quickly go over a few of the names we're going to be discussing, and then we'll dive into each one individually. In front of us, you know the drill, Trading View, where we will talk technicals, price targets, and price action over the following week on the following names today in this order, going down the watch list. Kicking it off, of course, with the king. We got to start with Bitcoin, you guys. 24/7 market. That's the beauty of it, especially considering the public equity market. So all the stocks we're going to be talking about today are not. They're only open 5 days a week for a certain amount of time, as many of you guys know. So again, Bitcoin 24/7, because Bitcoin and the cryptocurrency space as a whole has been crushing it over the course of the weekend. That gives me reason to believe, and I would be very surprised if this sector did not pop off, okay, especially Bitcoin miners, all right? And again, we will talk Bitcoin because, as you guys know, the price action of Bitcoin will ultimately dictate general direction of the sector as a whole. So kick it off with the king, then move on to the king miners, Riot Blockchain and Marathon Digital Holdings. Okay, so Riot and Mar, again, you guys coming so far, and I'm so pumped for the next wave of price action to the upside. Again, you guys know, I've been saying for a long time, I made this in the number one stock pick of the year. I had Riot and Mara in there just back in January. I was calling for triple digits on these guys, and it's finally happening. I think it will happen sooner than later, but I do think it's inevitable that we do see triple digits on both Riot and Mara. Okay, so that is Riot and Mara. Xnet is honestly, among all the stocks we're talking about today, is probably the most exciting play to me personally, because I have a very large call options position on Xnet, and I'm very excited from a technical perspective of where Xnet will go. Okay, so Xnet, I think, in all honesty, could over 2x over the course of the coming weeks. So obviously a very exciting play there. Move on to the space stocks, the space plays that are Currency Works. Currency Works has been on an absolute rampage, so exciting to cover that there. And then alternate systems. So alternate systems, you guys, with the Revolt token, everything coming out, the integration of their EV platform, of the motorcycle, all the progress they're making along with the Revolt token ICO, that obviously qualifies this as a cryptocurrency play. The correction happened, you guys. The technicals are great. The chart looks great. And of course, you guys, this is like my 100x plus play. Okay, so very excited to talk about ALYI and see where good old OTCs. Of course, they both have tiny market caps, which makes them that much more exciting. ALYI still sub 10 million. Could 100x and not even be at $1 billion, which is just insane to think for what they are. And then we will close it out with a play that is new to the portfolio. Shout out to the portfolio newsletter group. We just added this bad boy last week, or I did at least. I talked to you guys about me adding it. Zeken, ZK International, very exciting. Everything they have going on with their company. I did cover this in analysis. It was actually a sponsored video review, but even I sold myself on that. The project is sick, and yeah, I'm super excited to take a look at that on the charts as well. That's very similar to Xnet on the charts, okay? So, excited to finish it off with that. Excuse me, guys. But yeah, let's get into this. Before we do, as always, I will ask you guys to please give the video a like if you do go on to gain value from it today, or if you're as excited about some of these plays going into the week as I am. Again, you guys, the Waves fam is we're gonna be eating good this week, you guys. So yeah, please give the video a like if you're trading, invested, or just excited about the sector overall. Subscribe to the channel if you're new around here, because again, times are getting crazy. Want to stick along? I post at least 5 or 6 videos a week, especially when times are exciting. I'm not much more to make videos surrounding this content. So yeah, subscribe to the channel if you're new around here, want to join the Waves fam, and of course check out my complete portfolio daily newsletter. First link down in the description, $15 per month if you want a complete breakdown of my entire portfolio, my personal portfolio, all call options, all put options, all stock positions, all crypto positions, of course, that I do update every single trading day during market hours. And along with every update, I send out a pretty comprehensive newsletter, includes some some charts, include some analyses, explaining my thoughts, rationalizing the trades I'm making, new trades, old trades, why I'm doing what I'm doing in my portfolio. So hopefully you guys don't copy me, but you can learn from my successes, my mistakes, and yeah, I take a lot of pride in it. I work very hard on it. Again, shout out to the Wave Sam as a whole. Love the YouTube family, love the portfolio family, and love the Discord family as well. Okay, so one big happy family. Once again, it's going to be a very exciting week for all of us. So cheers to that, you guys. Let's dive into some charts. Again, first link in the description if you want to check this out. Very, very much appreciated if you do. If not, no worries. Always got to say that. All right, so Bitcoin, again, kicking it off with the king. Bitcoin looking very strong right now. Like, we'll zoom in here and then we'll zoom out, okay? So I will give you guys the more short-term price targets, what I think is going to happen over the course of this week. This price target does fall at the end of the trading day on Thursday, which I think makes sense almost just from an intuitive psychological perspective, as well as on the chart. So I'll talk to you guys about why this is my end-of-week price target. Let's zoom in here, though, and see this beautiful price action over the course of the weekend. So, again, just yesterday, Bitcoin popped up. We saw that big pop, broke through. Again, Bitcoin is on such a perfect short-term uptrend. Like, look at this, you guys, just stair-stepping up. Higher highs, higher lows. Like, this is such a strong chart right now. So, excuse me, you guys, my bad. Looking very, very exciting. I think it's very likely that Bitcoin will ultimately come up. It's just setting higher highs and higher lows here. Once again, you guys, right here, even this looks a little suspect. A lot of people are probably getting scared, but volume it tends to be lower on Sundays, so it makes sense. We're just going a little bit sideways. But all I'm seeing here is another higher high on the short-term uptrend, and I think it's very likely that Bitcoin will ultimately test the top line of resistance here on the short-term uptrend. Again, kicking it off like March 8th. So just over the course of the past week or so, I think it's likely that Bitcoin ultimately tests this shorter-term uptrend, maybe see a little resistance right there, set a higher low again, and then we will ultimately test. I think it's very likely that we test this the more medium-term uptrend beginning on the 1st of March. Okay, so this touch point here, we're still on the same rally, and I think it's very likely that we will test this short to medium-term trend line at the same time we test this one, which is a very, very significant one from the medium-term time frame. Okay, so Bitcoin's highs right here, you can see a lot of very obvious touch points. This intersects perfectly with a shorter-term line of resistance here on, once again, the short to medium-term time frame. These two intersect, so they meet, they touch points at on March 18th, like I just said. That would take us to a $78,000 Bitcoin on March 18th. Again, if all goes accordingly, and because Bitcoin, once again, Bitcoin has been a little tough to read. You guys over here, we were thinking about a head and shoulders potentially playing out. Bitcoin is 100% in a confirmed short-term uptrend from a technical perspective. Again, there's so much excitement around it, and I think it's very likely that by the end of the week, we could rally all the way up to about $70,000. Now, if we do break above this, you guys know this. If we do break above this, I'll keep this short because we'll cross these bridges when we get to it. If we do break above 80K by the end of the week, we will be in a technical breakout. Okay, so short-term breakout. We're already in a breakout, but that will just confirm to me that we're probably going to go parabolic after that to ultimately test the top line of resistance. So if we hit this by about March 24th, again, just random. It's all about when Bitcoin does choose. And same goes for all the stocks we're going to look at too. It's all dependent upon when we test the line of resistance on the overall uptrends. Okay, so again, This is the overall uptrend kicked off mid-December when we saw this rally that we're currently ongoing. Touch point here. I think it's likely that if we do break through the more medium-term uptrend, the more medium-term line of resistance, that we test the overall longer-term line of resistance for the entirety of this rally, and that would take us to, once again, the very elusive, the infamous 6-figure Bitcoin. That would take us, again, it all depends. Let's just say April 1st, just to keep it simple. April 1st, my price target for Bitcoin, if it happens to test over here, would be about 108K, okay? But regardless, 100K is going to be a significant psychological even as well. It's very important for you guys to keep that in mind. 100K is a big level. That's a very, very one of the most, 100K and a milli is probably the most psychological evens you can talk about. Any round numbers, so keep that in mind. But I do think that we could hit, I do think that we'll easily break 100K by the end of this month. Very optimistic, but I'm a very optimistic person, okay? So the same applies. Obviously, Bitcoin ripping to 100K, I think it's easy money that plays like RIOT and Mara, who are paid in Bitcoin and have nice Bitcoin treasuries. Again, a big reason I'm actually more bullish on Mara is because their Bitcoin treasury is about 4 to 5 times larger than RIOT's, I believe. So I am personally more bullish on Mara. I'm just combining these together. I'm trying to go quick, you guys. I'm trying to go quick for you guys. Sorry. I am personally more bullish on Mara as opposed to RIOT at the moment for that reason, and I do believe Mara has a little catching up to do We know from following these two for so long, side by side, Riot always jumps ahead for a little bit, but Mara ultimately does play a game of catch up, okay? And that could come into play once we get into earnings that come, I believe, on the 22nd and 23rd of this month. So coming soon. Keep an eye on that, and I think both Riot and Mara will absolutely crush earnings, okay? So, Riot, I think it's very, very likely that Riot, let's get, we can keep those guys there. Going to the stars, baby. Not the moon. We're going to Mars. Okay, so Riot, again, broke out of the short-term downtrend. We are in like 100% of a confirmed uptrend right now from a technical perspective. And I think it's very likely that Riot will see some resistance around here. You can see this acted as a very strong line of resistance over the course of the rally, beginning when Bitcoin started rallying, of course, mid-December. Multiple touch points here. Once Riot broke above that on February 16th, mid-February, that's when we saw it go absolutely parabolic because it broke out of this longer-term resistance that many traders were eyeballing. Broke below that. We are now going to be using this. It only makes sense to me that we use, again, previous resistance as new support, and vice versa. You guys know the deal there. TA 101. So I do think that this cyan line will come into play here. I think we will set just a new all-time high, but it's right around the previous high that we set once again in mid-February. So price target for Riot by the end of this week is $81. If we can break above this, so if we get, just to play it safe, you guys, if we get a clean break above 85, I think it's very likely that Riot will ultimately test like this. Is very optimistic. So you guys know I try to keep it conservative, but a lot of traders are going to be looking at this. Again, Riot currently sitting at a market cap of $4.24 billion. Still small in the grand scheme of things. Like 4.24 bill sounds large when we're talking about some of these other stocks we're going to be talking about, which are in the like single digit millions in ALYI's case again. But in the grand scheme of the markets, if enough capital flows into Riot, and I know a lot of institutions are eyeballing blockchain or Bitcoin mining plays like Riot and Mara. I think Wall Street Bets is doing something with Bitcoin miners too. So you're going to see a flood of both retail and institutional adoption for Bitcoin miners. And once again, the sector as a whole is I'm just so pumped, you guys. So I'm talking fast. I'm seriously so pumped for this week. Okay. So price target for Riot, if we do test the overall line of resistance, again, optimistic price target, but I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility at all. Price target for Riot by the end of the month, again, you guys, it's all dependent. Let's say we go absolutely parabolic and hit this by the end of next week. March 19th is going to be Friday. And again, March 19th, you guys, is going to be a triple witching. It's either triple or quadruple witching. Please correct me on that down below if I'm wrong, but that means that options contracts, a lot of options contracts are going to be expiring on this date. Okay, and when you see a date where options contracts are expiring, it tends to just it doesn't really directly manipulate the price, but it amplifies general direction because people are either having to cover their shorts and close out their positions if they know they're losing. So pretty much, like in this case, it's likely that all the shorts will just get squeezed out because they want to close the position. Because they have to cover their shorts, they're going to buy shares, which ultimately pushes the price higher. That's exactly what happened with GameStop. I know you guys remember that. Okay, so again, there's a lot of positive catalysts for Riot and Mara. I'm very excited. And again, price target, if we do go parabolic this week and do test the overall line of resistance on the greater uptrend, that would take us to $120 Riot, which is a 2x from this point right here. All right, moving on, Mara is a little bit easier of a read here just because Mara is similar to Riot, hasn't crossed this line yet. So this is the same. Again, Mara and Riot, this is the one that I think will come into play for Riot, the cyan line, and then the green one is the obviously more optimistic but very, very realistic at the same time price target, in my opinion. Okay, so Mara has yet to break above this like Riot did once again. So I think Mara, this is a very, very easy read in my mind. I think Mara is very likely, if we do go parabolic by the end of next week, I think it's, you guys, I'm calling this right now. I think Mara is going to test this trend line, the overall line of resistance, by next week. That would take us to $65, conservative 63, 64. You guys know, don't get greedy. Other traders are going to be looking at this as well. Again, you could actually move this up a little bit because traders are probably going to be using the absolute high. I don't like doing that. I'm comfortable using multiple touch points, so we'll go right there. Price target for Mara by March 19th is going to be $64, 63, 64 bucks. If we can break above this, so if we can clear $65 by the end of next week, it's very likely that this trend line will come into play on the overall, like just using these two initial touch points here. Mara wasn't able to make it up, but on the long term, you're still seeing it's the same trend of higher highs, higher lows, and I do think this will ultimately come into play at some point. If we hit it by April 1st, once again, that would take us to a $96 marathon digital holdings, which again, from here, from a percentage gain perspective, another reason I'm just bullish on Mara is because as far as percentage gain goes, best case scenario for Riot is a 2x. Best case scenario for Mara, if we do hit $100, is about a 2.5x. Okay, so just from a simple percentage gain, percentage return perspective, simple multiplier, I'm more bullish on Mara. And then again, as people are starting to research these, they're going to look into the treasuries, and Mara has significantly more Bitcoin on their balance sheet than Riot does, and I think that will be a very significant factor in catalyzing that game of catch up, the sauce for Mara and Riot. So Bitcoin miners out of the way. Again, Xnet, this is probably the single play I'm the most excited about, just because again, I have in all honesty, I have a very, very large call position on Xnet, and I just picked up a whole bunch of stock on Friday. Big shout out to the newsletter group once again, Discord, all you guys. Friday was fun. Friday was a fun day. All right, so let's get rid of this quickly. I think it's super likely that on Monday, by Tuesday probably, Xnet comes up to ultimately test this top line of resistance that acted as pretty significant here. You get, again, beginning December, touch point here with the initial high touch point here. Once we broke above this line of resistance on February 16th, that's when Xnet went parabolic. You can see it using this area as a line of resistance, as support as well, while it's bouncing around above this. So I do think this will come to play. I think it's very, very likely that Monday, Tuesday, again, unless Bitcoin falls off a cliff, which we all know is possible, I think it's very unlikely, but I think it's very likely that Xnet, again, Monday, Tuesday probably, which would be March 16th, Tuesday, would come up to about $9.50 to test this, maybe see a quick pullback to maybe this area right here, this high about like $8.50. But even then, if it breaks through this, if we can close above $10 over the first part of this week, we could see Xnet go absolutely ballistic. And again, it's very optimistic to believe this could happen by the end of this week, but again, it's still possible with just everything that's going on right now. If we see Xnet go parabolic, that would take us to, if we do test the overall line of resistance, again, these touch points here very obviously in play here. This will come to play. A lot of traders are going to be looking at this. If we do touch this by March 19th, that would take us to a $14.70 Xnet. Conservatively, $14 price target for Xnet over the coming week. Okay, so very, very exciting stuff there. And then, yeah, again, if we break above this, I think it's very likely. I say this every time, but it's important to keep in mind. Xnet's high back in 2017 during the great crypto bull run of 2017. Xnet's high over the course of that rally was $25. So I don't think, and keep in mind, these are very different companies. Like it makes sense that Riot and Mara are outperforming Xnet just from a fundamental perspective, but because it's just a game of catch up, because there's so many eyes on the sector right now, I think Xnet could easily break its all-time high. Now that Bitcoin, Ethereum are ripping, like if we see $100,000 Bitcoin, I see no reason Xnet will be below $25. Okay, so again, different companies. Xnet, very, very prominent blockchain company in China. I think they announced earnings on the 22nd or 23rd as well. So it's going to be a big week. The week after this week is going to be huge. I think this week's going to be huge from a technical perspective. But again, once earnings come around, I think that's going to open investors' eyes that much more to the actual value and the progress that a lot of these companies are making. Okay, so Xnet. Wait, does Xnet? I'm confusing this. Xnet might announce earnings next week. You guys, please drop in the comments down below. I will check that right after this, but please check in the comments down below and let people know. But yeah, I might be mixing it up. Xnet might release earnings this week in a few days. Okay, so keep that in mind as well. You guys look into that for sure, because earnings are a very important metric to keep an eye on. Okay, so Xnet, again, short-term price target is going to be about $9.50, literally Monday, Tuesday. I do think it's very possible we'll come up by the end of the week. If that happens by the end of the week, just under $15. But again, you guys, over the course of this bull market, that could span like 2-3 weeks from now, because I think this is when things are going to actually start to go parabolic. Like, we've seen a beautiful, like, organic climb up until this point for Bitcoin and stuff, but I think at this point, especially considering a lot of people are getting their stimmy checks in, we got capital just pumping everywhere. I think this week and next week could actually be the parabolic, the parabola that we've been waiting for so long. Okay, so again, very exciting times. I wouldn't be surprised if Xnet hits $25 from here, which of course is like just under a 3 to 4x, which is very, very exciting once again if you hold calls. So super pumped on those calls, super pumped on the stock. Speaking of just stock plays, which I'm still super pumped on, CWRK. So CWRK did actually hit the target. CWRK's been on an absolute rampage. CWRK did hit my overall target, like very obvious trend line right here. I say this all the time, you guys, or I've been saying this lately, but if you haven't heard it, I seriously think this chart looks so much like Riot. And I think in one of the previous stock talks, I think the crypto convo I posted like 3 or 4 days ago, I compared the charts back to back and looked at Riot in early 2020 when we started following it, when Riot started ripping up. CWRK looks just like Riot. So you guys go back to like, it's probably like May of 2020-ish. Look at Riot. next to CWRK, and it looks so similar. Again, CWRK is an OTC stock, so you can't really trade options. There's not going to be as much volume because not as many investors literally have access to these OTC stocks. So keep that in mind. But because CWRK is at just $100 million market cap, which is so small. Again, I think CWRK at $1 billion market cap is completely reasonable. That's obviously a 10x from here, which would be a 20. You're looking at like a $28, $29 CWRK if we 10x from this point right here. A long-term conservative price target is going to be $25. That's just kind of how, just intuitively, there's nothing to back that at all from a technical perspective, but $25 would make sense to me. Short-term, just because everything's been ripping, maybe some capital will want to flow into a little more like underappreciated plays of the sector, like RIOT Mar, even Xnet was like a little red for a little bit. Hopefully ALYI, because if any capital flows into ALYI, this thing's gonna explode. But again, you guys, I think CWRK might pull back a little bit just because it looks super overextended. We've been going absolutely parabolic since pretty much March 5th. So I think that CWRK could obviously just keep going parabolic just because there's so much hype around the sector. But I personally would bet that we see a little pullback, maybe to test this previous high right here. Very basic. That's why I have this orange line. I think it's more likely, and I would be comfortable accumulating more CWRK personally if we come down to test this previous high. That's a very common rule in rallies. Test the previous high around $2.15. Prior to continuing the rally, we'll probably significantly break above this, and again, on the way to double digits. Okay, so CWRK, very exciting. ALYI is exciting me so much right now. Okay, you guys, so I'll just give you guys next week's price targets, which I think are very, very light. We'll actually go to the hourly for ALYI because it's a little easier to look at. So ALYI, again, you guys, just pulled, this is a textbook double bottom right here. Huge rip up. ALYI corrected 75-80%. So huge correction, got all the weak hands out of there. Make room for the strong. I know the Waves family has been accumulating ALYI, and again, it's so cool considering ALYI currently has a market cap of just $8 million. You guys, this could once again 100x, and it would still be a sub $1 billion market cap, which is crazy to think for how potentially cool and how potentially lucrative and how potentially massive this company could be. If they execute on the plan, again, it's very clear. I'm not directly affiliated with this company anyway. I have no idea if they're going to properly execute on their plan, but the steps they're taking to do so makes sense to me. The Revolt token, again, the Revolt token ICO, I'm not sure exactly what the metrics are surrounding that, but they got it. I've been seeing it in wallets. That's very sick. Shout out to the Discord fan for sending me some of those pictures as well. Very reassuring. And again, if they execute on creating these two-wheeled vehicles, the electric Harley Davidson targeting Africa, emerging markets, India, Africa, etc. The potential here is huge. Again, will they execute? I don't know, but the potential is crazy. And again, I wouldn't be surprised if we could see a $10 billion market cap, which is over 1,000x from here. All right, 1,000x from here would be an $8 billion market cap. Okay, so that's still sub 10 billion. That's still small. Nikola just had a picture of a truck, and they got to $25 billion. Okay, so that's just to put things into perspective. Again, very exciting short term, this week. I wouldn't be surprised at all if we come up to test this previous line of resistance on this beautiful ascending channel right here after we double bottomed. Coming up, we are still obviously in a short-term uptrend, short to medium-term uptrend. It's very likely we test this line of resistance right here. Very pretty solid line of resistance, again, on this beautiful ascending channel, spanning from March 5th to about March 10th. So spanned 5 days, broke below it. I think it will ultimately come up to test the bottom side, maybe see a little bit of resistance here, but I do think ALYI could very likely claim this ascending channel over the course of this week, and if it reclaims this, if it gets back into this ascending channel, it's only likely that we test the top side of this ascending channel. March 16th, March 16th, so this would be Tuesday. Maybe we go ballistic. Tuesday, that would take us to a 16-cent ALYI, which is over a 2x from current prices. And then, again, if we span this out, because it is a pretty steep trend line, if we span it out to the end of the week, let's just do this real quick. So March 19th right here, if we hit it on Friday, if we close the week out, that would take us to just under 20 cents. Which, again, you're looking at it at 2.53x if all plays out accordingly. Again, not saying it will, but because this market cap's so small, because I know a lot of the hands holding it are strong and they're not going to want to sell, I think we are going to face for ALYI the most potentially lucrative situation of supply and demand, which is why I'm so excited about it, which is why I've been accumulating I've been scooping up ALYI shares from the weekends over the course of this entire rally. Again, Waves Fan Portfolio Group, the Discord, you guys all know that. And I'm just so pumped with my position on this, and I'm so bullish on the future. You guys know this, ALYI long-term price target is at least $10 to hit that $1 billion market cap, which is still pretty conservative if you're talking about a year, 2 years, 5 years out. But short term, I think it's very likely I think it's really likely, to be honest, that by the end of this month, at least by March 31st, we could go parabolic and we'll ultimately test the top line of resistance on the overall uptrend. The conservative price target is going to be, once again, by March 31st, about 58 cents. Most optimistic using the high right here, which I don't like to do, but traders may be looking at it. It may come into play. Will be around Mars, the little fake Mars. The real Mars is way up here, you guys. That's the real Mars. We're not there yet. I'm not even going to show it to you guys. But March 31st would be about 66 cents. Obviously, you got that 9x. That would be a 9x from current levels, which is, especially with a stock only play, with common shares only, that's the type of returns I'm looking for, you guys. If you're following me for just kind of looking for 20-30% returns, that's so chill with me. I'm looking for multiples, you guys. I'm looking for 5, 10, 50, 100x. And that's why, again, you guys, I'm so pumped on ALYI. I can't guarantee anything with the stock, but I see at least 100x potential here over the coming year, 2 years, 5 years, and I'm very comfortable holding through the volatility because my price targets are at such a crazy multiple of where we're at right now. I think ALYI is dirt cheap personally, and yeah, I'm just really excited for this one. So that is ALYI. Let's close it out with Zeken, the new face of the portfolio. Zeken looks great too. Again, I accumulated a nice big, nice solid bag of common shares on Friday. Zeken, I think it's very, very likely that we ultimately come up short term to test this line of resistance right here. Again, multiple touch points here. You can see this trend line is definitely in play. Once we broke above this, that's when Zeken really went parabolic. And again, very cool company too. Watch the analysis I did. It was actually my sponsored review. Again, just not this past Friday, but last Friday. This was my sponsor. So 2 Fridays ago. So 2 Fridays ago, this is my sponsored review for Zeken, just Zeken International, Royce Jacob, if you guys do want to watch it. Very cool company, very comprehensive article I read over. It was honestly pretty out of breath by the end of it. But Zeken, so short-term price target, if we hit this line of resistance right here by the end of this week, once again, March 19th, that would take us to just under a $10 Zeken. At about $9.50 is going to be conservative price target for Zeken. But ultimately, I do think we can come up, and it's not completely out of the realm of possibility. I think this line will also come into play right here, this trend line. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility at all for us to come here. It's actually more likely to me that we actually do come up to test this area, okay? So best case scenario, by the end of the month, if Zeken absolutely rips, and again, some traders may be doing this. A lot of traders are probably doing that. I'm just going to do this to just keep it more conservative once again, you guys, just because that's what I'm comfortable telling you. By April 1st, which again, you guys, I'm not really worried about here. We're definitely going to see some resistance here, probably pull back a little bit. Resistance here, pull back a little bit, but that's not my style. I'm not a day trader. I'm a swing trader. I will gladly hold my position on Zeken, Xnet as well, until the end of the month, until the end of this short-term rally, which I do think will span over the entirety of this month. That's what I've been saying for the past week now. I think it's very likely, maybe just before April, I think we will top out, because a lot of times when we start to go parabolic, that'll last for like 7 to 10 days, maybe 10 to 14 days, like 10, just call it like 10-ish days. So that's just, again, from playing bubbles my whole life. Many of you know, but I established the far majority of my wealth being able to capitalize on these bubbles and just, again, taking advantage of the opportunities I see in bubbles. So I'm very, I'm not obviously not an expert by any means, but I've watched a lot of the psychology around these bubbles, and after playing so many bubbles, you kind of just intuitively have a general intuitive understanding of how long things span and what a topped out chart looks like. There are certain metrics you can use, but again, just from an intuitive perspective, about 10 days is a general time once we start going parabolic, okay? So again, maybe by March 31st, again, just using this as a price target, it's all dependent on when we hit it. Just say March 24th. Let's do March 24th here. So March 25th, if we do test this overall line of resistance, and again, a lot of traders could be looking at that, which we'll do after this. Conservative price target for Zeken is going to be about $15. You're looking at, again, 2.5 to 3x potential from current prices. And if we do test the top line of resistance here, which once again I think is very, very potentially likely, I think that we could come, once again, March 25th. We'll just slide this guy up right here. March 25th, if we test the overall line of resistance, that would take us to a $20 Zeken. I keep wanting to call it Xnet, but $20 Zeken would be amazing, you guys. Again, you're just look at the multiples. That's over 3x from where we're currently at. And once again, those are the type of multiples I'm looking at, especially if we're talking about short-term time horizons, like 2 weeks, a month from where we're at right now. So again, you guys, I seriously do believe this will be a very, very exciting, very lucrative week for the Waves family. And I'm just so pumped to make videos this week, to talk to you guys in the comments. So drop a comment down below. Let me know what you're the most excited about going into this week, what you're the most bullish on, what you got the biggest bag of. Because again, if you guys hold a bag in anything this week, I'm pretty darn confident that you're going to be sitting pretty all right. So celebrate, you guys. As always, if you make a bag, spend it on your family, spend it on your loved ones, eat a great dinner. I'm going to go to dinner with my entire family right after this. My treat, of course, lady, loved ones, my boys. I'm actually going to go look at a boat right after this, so I'm super pumped. Go check out a nice 21-foot. It's called the ALYI boat. I'm thinking about picking up, which would be awesome. Check that out. Take the family out to dinner, have a beautiful meal, cheers some drinks, and just enjoy time with people I love. And I love you guys. So I will catch you later, and I'll catch you in the comments downstairs, Discord group. I'll see you soon. And until next time, guys, always remember, take action, make waves. Peace.